Yeah, welcome back. I think uh, the kind of skills or tools that we have learned in our first session, uh, it's definitely going to be useful when we make a set of our presentation uh, for a professional audience. So let's start practicing at least those last segment, that is practice preparing 3 or 4 sets of slide deck. One is as an elevator speech, second one is 5 into 5 rule, and third one is 1 2 3 2 1 rule. So that will give us a better understanding, better control in managing time as well as audience while we make our point clear through a presentation. Okay, now once we have understood various criteria, various components, we must keep it in mind while we just put our knowledge, while we put our ideas as a communication platform. Then one thing becomes very, very critical. Then how should we present? Presentation, different countries, different communities, they prefer presentation or communication in different modes and different styles. So if we look to the worldwide, then the Greek people, their presentation style was considered to be the best uh, among the world. And even today, most of the countries, they take the reference of Greek way of presentation, and philosophers like Socrates, philosophers like Aristotle, they have been fantastic communicators. And even few previous American presidents, they have anecdoted or they have mentioned the impactful presentation made by the Greece people. So considering that, even if you look the presentation or communication effectiveness in Harvard Business School, they have published a book, complete book, on how to improve the presentation by following the Greek way of presentation. So therefore, it is very, very important for us to understand what is that Greek way of presentation, which used to be very, very effective in nature. So I'm sure if we professionals can understand even 30-40% of that, then definitely we can improve our presentation. We can put across our points very, very effectively. And personally, if you ask me, then for scientific presentations, I feel the Greek way of presentation is fantastic. Although the philosophers, they have made lots of impact by making a presentation to accept or convince people under in certain circumstances, but this applies very, very uh, aptly to scientific presentation. Let's understand this Greek way of presentation. It has got basically 5 components. The 5 components of Greek way of presentation. Number one is introduction. We'll understand what introduction as per Greek way of presentation means, and what and how we'll be preparing ourselves if we need to understand the Greek way of presentation. Then second component is the narrative. Narrative is all about why we as presenters are standing in front of a set of audience. So we must narrate them. And while narration happens, there are certain conditions the Greek people follow, and we'll be understanding that going further. Third is argument. When we make certain narrative, definitely there will be some amount of argument comes either from the context or from the subjects they have been part of that narration. So this argument we must understand in a very, very informative way so that we can convince our audience in a more better way. Then fourth component is the refutation. And here, one very, very critical point we scientific uh, professionals or we research professionals must keep it in mind. Sometimes, if somebody is putting some kind of uh, condition, or they refuse certain statements made by us, we feel bad. But what the Greek presentation says, even before your audience understand and come out with some kind of refutation or some kind of negative feedback about your presentation, we presenters must understand them well in advance, so that it becomes a part of our presentation rather than waiting and somebody pointing out that. So that's a very, very important component, which is refutation is a compulsory part in all the presenters who follow the Greek way of presentation. And finally, conclusion. Conclusion has also got a complete meaning, and it has got certain ethos around the conclusion, how the conclusion has to be designed, defined, and presented so that it will leave a lasting impact on our audience. So let's go to each one and understand what does that mean. Once we talk about the introduction part, when introduction happens, there are lot of you know uh, once we go to a stage, once we go to the podium, then we do not know actually. And in fact, there are research that indicates, if somebody will be asked to go to a podium or to a stage, it's really difficult to start with your subject matter, because what you have been doing all the months, all the years, if you will be just sent to a podium, it's really, really difficult to start. So what the Greek people, they say, there are a lot of things they keep it in mind to start with the presentation. It could be the previous speaker. Sometimes while we just waiting for our turn to make a presentation in any professional gathering, then there must be a previous audience, a previous speaker who spoke ahead of us. Even if picking up one or two lines, that will be making us little comfortable and connect to the audience in a better way. That could be event. When people come to that event, could be, if it is 6 months review meeting, that's the event, there must be some ethos around that. If even if you simply connect, if your presentation is happening exactly after 6 months, exactly after 10 months, why there is 4 months extra, what you have done in these 4 months, and how these 4 months has helped you. So this is the simple thing, but if you put them into introduction, then definitely that will just make your audience, whatever audience, will be able to connect you more than going by the normal way. Then the place, wherever the presentation is happening, that place itself will be having lots of importance to that presentation. Imagine some of your presentations are happening inside the boardroom of DPU, where Honorable Vice Chancellor, he chairs that session. And if you are making a presentation in that room, and if you are making a presentation in other building, in for example, in homeopathic hospital conference room, in other, there will be lots of difference. And if you can bring that place into perspective to your presentation, that itself will make you little bit more conscious, more proactive into your presentation. Purpose is another important thing. I have seen many presentations where, if the purpose is 6 months presentation, and the and we start with all the introduction, literature review, blah blah blah, all these things, so which is not required. If you can make a statement, I am here to make a presentation what I have done in my last 6 months or 7 months or 8 months, including a lot of challenges, other things, then that itself will make the audience very, very, connected to you. Because the moment you say that, along with my progress, I will also share few challenges I've been facing. So that means what's happening here, people will be looking forward. Oh, you have also faced challenge. That means you are genuinely want to talk of all those things. Then finally, audience. because everybody would like to listen good about them, correct? Even you as a presenter, when you are going to the podium and makes a presentation, you also feel little bit of good feedback from people. The same thing, the people who have come to listen to you, they have been waiting for such a long time, and they have been listening to different people. And if you can praise them little bit, thank you for bearing with me, and I know that a lot of things I can learn from you, still you will be listening to me, and I'm honored to make a presentation in front of you. Small things, but that will make you comfortable, that will make your audience comfortable. And that's what Greek people they do. Greek people never ever miss a chance to connect to their audience by praising them, by talking about the place where they are all gathered. They bring little bit of historical connection to that. So that's where it becomes a very kind of informal and very cohesive situation for both you as well as the audience for that purpose. So few things you just keep it in mind. Connect with your audience, find common ground, your values, experience, challenges. All of you are doing the research in public health, biomedical research, that also a common ground. Knowledge to the previous speaker, highlights the events, occasion, emphasize why it is so important. Even if you can just put that why 6 months progress is so important, then that itself will be connecting them. And they are also time they have found out to come and listen to your presentation. That also makes lots of sense. So introduction, it's not about that talking about the work you are just doing, but definitely connecting all the things that is happening around that particular physical place, external people, the external audience, all these things, how you are connecting yourself in that kind of gathering. We should become a part of that whole place. That's what the introduction all about. It is nothing to do with what we are doing currently. So that is very important. Please keep that in mind. Let's go to the second one, which is narrative. Now narrative is having three components. If we talk about the Greek way of presentation, number one, do you have a story to tell? It's very important. We always say that we are scientific researchers, we are making a scientific presentation. What is all about this? But even stories can be told, even if it's a high level clinical thing. uh, I have given a few examples, few stories in my lecture note. You will be finding time. Please go through that. If, for example, you are working on maternal mortality, for example, some of you may be working on MMR, or improving the maternal mortality conditions. Now, if you start that some kind of story somewhere you have read, for example, I have been to Rajasthan. I've seen a pregnant lady coming for her trimester checkups, and she has been waiting for almost 3 hours. Nobody is there to attending to her because doctor is going to for a campaign. Nobody is there to even measure the blood pressure or basically physical checks. So if you can start with these, that will be very nicely connecting to the big thing you are working. Because end of the day, we are also mentioning how my research is going to support to the society. So anyway, societal benefits we are making a part of our research. So why not put that as a story? So it's very important. If you can just find a story which is very closely related to the subject of your PhD thesis, then it will definitely add huge value to the presentation. Then after this story, without data, without evidence, nothing works as narrative. Even if we are just talking that I am here to improve the maternal mortality ratio, then on what basis in India it is 120 now? If my research can help to reduce that by 20%, that itself will be putting lots of value. So this narrative and versus a subjective narrative will be having huge difference. So one thumb rule, please keep it in mind. Without data, if you do not have data, even in the portion of literature review, If literature review, you are not bringing meta-analysis, you are not bringing a set of numbers which can explain your narratives for your next step of research, that narrative will not be having any impact on the audience. Numbers drive audience attention. That is emotion. If emotion is connected to the story and to the data, then that will bring 100% of attention of the audience. So here you have to do these three things. First, you put it in mind whether my narratives has a story, whether my narratives has sufficient data, has my narratives does my narrative has a emotion in it. Emotion means to drive that society, they will be supporting to you or your research in a better way. And I'll give you one small example. When you send some kind of apply for funding research opportunities, do you know you can ask those who are sitting on the selection committee for that funding opportunity. They see that how a research project is written with lots of emotion. You say that I am there, I am saddened by this. Somebody was making a presentation about road traffic accidents and other pre-hospital care. Then he said that how a patient has been struggling for life for almost 45 minutes on the roadside. Not a single vehicle was there to take care of that, or not a single first responder is there to take care of that person to do the resuscitation for the patient to as a first aid. So based on that, this project has got selected and got somewhere around 37 lakhs of grant to do that, research on pre-hospital care. So what I'm saying is that if stories are there, it combines with facts and emotions, it becomes very live in the minds of people. Even if, whoever are there listening to your, even there is little bit of technical glitch in your presentation, it will absolutely cover up everything. So building a human connection through this live experience, as I said, you yourself is, if imagine if you are, working in hospital setup, healthcare organization setup, and day in, day out, you see all the experiences. And only thing you have to do is that pick up five, six, seven very interesting cases, which you can use them in most of your narratives or any presentation that happens. You can connect them very well. So data, examples, anecdotes, they are very, very important because audience, they care about that. If you talk about something which has happened there in the roadside or in Rajasthan or in Odisha, for that purpose, that that man carries the dead body of his wife for 37 kilometers on his shoulder. If you can just narrate those things as a part of your research, that attracts the audience attention, and that's what Greek people, they used to do quite a lot. Then conviction and passion to make it memorable, that each one of us are trying to do. But here, as a skill, if we want to make a slide, what is the three things I just put in my slide? If I make my narrative very, very interesting, number one is story, number two is data, number three is emotion. Please ensure these three things are there part of your narrative. Narrative means whatever is the main part that you are just putting across. Now, once this narrative gets over, then we come to the argument. Why argument? When we are talking that, as you know, that most of the presentations, your uh, audience, including the external evaluator, will be asking, why did you choose this topic? You could have done something else. There will be lots of, uh, queries and questions come from audience. And this is nothing but a kind of argument to the narrative you have said or you are making a presentation. Suppose somebody is making a presentation that I want to study the hospitalization of patients having non-communicable disease. Then even if you are not bringing them out, some audience will be putting, why you are studying hospitalization? If we fall sick, we'll go to hospital. What is the big thing in that? So to avoid this kind of situation, you bring argument by yourself. Okay. Under argument, you need to again consider three things. One is facts. Facts means you are picking up from your literature review. There are facts. People even suffering from, high level of diabetes, they are not getting hospitalized. Even if there are Dama Lama cases, when no people know there are probability of fall, there are probability of readmission, still people go out of hospital. So these are the facts we read. From where we collect these facts? We have to collect the facts from literature review. If literature review is not done well, we will be failing miserably in putting our case through argument. Then figures. Figures is all about that, what is the prevalence rate, what is the rate, what is the criticality rate and versus hospitalization rate, where is the prevalence rate, or age-wise prevalence rate, age-wise hospitalization rate, criticality versus hospitalization, or whatever. So these figures will give you further strengthening your narrative through this argument you make in such a way that people will be getting answer of their questions 80% there itself. There will be no room for any retrospection for the audience what you are making a presentation. And most important thing is logic. Every research is built on logic. If logical arguments are there, then you are the winner. You are a hero in that room. If you are not following any logic, वो बोलेगा नहीं नहीं नहीं, that is because of that only I am just doing my research. Uh, it may not having any logic or anything, but if you say that my guide is saying that do research on that, then there is no logic, then you cannot stand to the scrutiny of the requirements or the queries of the audience. Now for that you have to keep few things in mind. These are: present your case with logic, evidence and reasoning, then use facts, figures and comparisons to persuade to the audience, then show cause and effect relationship. This is very very important. As I said in the beginning, when you build your conceptual framework, conceptual framework is all about establishing the how the relationship between cause variable and effect variable, you are putting them through multiple ways. If that relationship is not backed by a logic or backed by some evidences, then whole your thought process, whole of your perceptions is getting uh, down by in one question from the audience itself. So that's where this logic is very very important. Then clarity and credibility is very important. As I said in the very first slide of our preparation, maintain that clarity. Whatever the things we are just making, including the title of our PhD thesis, if we are not maintaining a clarity in that, including, do you know, if today you go back home, open your PhD title and see that what is that definition of that particular word which is part of your PhD title. If somebody asks me comparison of this, comparison between what? Why this comparison? When I'm making comparison? On what parameter I'm making comparison? So if these things are not cleared by you in a piece of paper, can you just make others convinced on that if we are ourselves has not gone deep into that? So argument is all about that. If I have taken this as my topic, I am arguing that this should be the topic because of these facts. Do anything, and for that purpose I give you one more idea how to do. All of the words of your PhD topic, just define that. What is that book definition and how much deviation you have done for that definition as far as your PhD is concerned. Each and every word that is lying in your topic. That brings the basic clarity of your PhD work itself. So third part, when we make a presentation, if you have done, for example, last 6 months, you are putting your progress in that. So you argue that, suppose you said in the previous 6 months, you will be completing your uh, data collection by next 6 months review. But when you are coming, you are not able to do that, data collection. And you have to argue that why you are not able to collect the data. but it must be supported by the facts, figures, and logic. Okay, so again, argument is out of the narrative. Whatever the narration we said, argument is directly connected to that. Argument is not from anything else or your whole area. If the presentation is something related to that last 6 months, argument is also connected to that last 6 months. So that you keep it in mind. Once you are doing very good job on argument, you know your facts, figures, logic, everything is done, then we come to the fourth part, is the refutation. There will be some people in the audience who will refuse your narration, who will refuse your argument that you are putting into them. So you have three tools here to counter that. Number one is how proactive you are. Number two is how prepared you are. Number three is how balanced you are. Proactive means what? Harvard Business Review says if you are doing real research, you are also aware what could be the refutation or what could be the objection the audience may bring to my argument. As I said, in those area, you have spent almost 6 months time. Your audience have not even spent 6 minutes time on the narrative you are making them as a presentation. I hope all of you are with me. You spent 6 months time on that area. In contrast, your audience has spent only 6 minutes, not even that much time. And when your audience is coming with some kind of objection to your narratives and argument, it is very, very obvious that you must also be knowing that objection by yourself. If you are not aware, then there is something wrong in our time being spent in our own research. So if I assume that you have really spent considerable amount of time on the research in last 6 months, I'm sure you are not in top 5% people, you are in top 1% people, at least on that room where you are making your presentation, including your guide. Please mark this point with you. Including your guide, you are a better person as far as the knowledge, objectives, facts, figures, everything related to that topic is concerned. So you are the most powerful person in that room. Please remember, when you go to make your presentation, keep it in mind, I am the powerful person as far as this topic is concerned. Nobody can argue with me. And if there is objection, and you know that well in advance, during presentation, you know that people will be asking these 5 questions. There will be objection on this 5. You make that very vividly, take up those 5 points. I know there could be an objection around this. I know I have taken that in advance. I know how to handle them. I have already taken care of that, and this is there. So by doing this proactive approach, you have killed 80% of the objection in the mind of the people. You have not given them a chance to come out with that. That is proactive. And proactiveness comes from your preparedness. How you, as I said in the beginning, have you identified who are your audience, who have come to listen to your presentation? If you know that, you are prepared on that, you know what kind of research that person has done and how this person will head on with me on this particular thing, then you know you come prepared. Then you know reputation will be a very, 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 very beautiful thing that could happen in any kind of argument between two scientists. Then balanced is basically you are not going to talk about all the rejects objections in your presentation. That will look like that you are just not doing a good stuff. You are talking only about objections. So these are the few things we must keep it in mind while we make our presentation, uh, and putting this refutation in the perspective. So first thing is that you anticipate possible objection which can come from the audience. So you address them there itself, then respond with facts, clarity, and professionalism. Sometimes either the audience gets a little bit of irritated. You as a presenter, you are just becoming a little bit of impatient, saying that. But if you can, make your facts and clarity, then if you do not have facts, then you can just accept it. Yes, I'll just look into that. I'll just bring more facts. And in fact, immediately you should go and start collecting facts regarding the objections that was raised. If that is the one objection that was raised, in future also the same objection may come again and again. So better now itself will be prepared to handle that kind of objection. As I said, Harvard Business Review's three strategies for uh, under this refutation is that answer objections proactively, prepare and rehearse the counterpoints with data, and blend both these things together. So, so that will take care of your reputation. And in the process, the research says that if you take refutation as a part of your strategy of your presentation, you killed almost 80% of the questions that is there in the mind of the people to ask you. And you are only asking 20% of the questions, and 20% of the questions you will be able to answer them because you know them, but you have just ignored or you have missed out. This could be one of the objection from the people as far as your work and your scientific contribution is concerned. So this is about the fourth component of Greek wave presentation, which is refutation. Then we come to the final stage of conclusion, which is known as your understanding, your action, and your approval. You need three things from your audience when you make a presentation. You want the understanding of your audience, the audience has understood what exactly you have explained. Then you want some action in the sense that if the panel is sitting there to approve or disapprove, or suggestions or giving not suggestions, then those actions are completed. Okay. And approval must be taken, whatever. If the objective of the presentation is that getting approval, that whatever methodology, whatever you have done in last 6 months is appropriate, then that approval must be taken. And taking, and imagine, sometimes I have also seen people coming to presentations and making presentations saying that uh, if they will reject it, how come they will reject it? If you are going to that presentation for the approval purpose, how come that will be rejected? That means you are aware the refutation, it may get rejected. If you know that fact, it may get rejected, why you are not working on those areas which one you feel that because of these reasons it may get rejected? So this is so obvious. If you feel that it can be rejected, work on them. It's as simple as it is. So if you know that you are going for that approval, you just 99.99% cases make it a point that you come back from the presentation with that approval, whatever approval. You say that, my methodology will be approved. Let it, get approved. For that purpose, whatever it requires, do not ever linger that stuff to the next. The moment you do that, your PhD journey will keep on extended. Please do not do that. So for that, what you can do is that ensure audience understanding. So recap your core message as a part of your conclusion very, very quickly. Then inspire action from the audience. What should they do next? As I said, if you feel that audience will accept this as it is, then that you make sure that is being told by you and that is being accepted by the audience. Seek approval or endorsement align with this shared vision, as most of the presentation will do that, and leave the audience with a memorable takeaway. So that will, if you have done your first 4 points very nicely, then this will also be done quite nicely for that purpose. So we have understood 5 areas. Under 5 areas, 3 sub areas, so 15 points we have to keep it in mind while we make our presentation. So I repeat them. One, you start with your introduction, then you come to your narratives, then you come to your arguments, then you come to your refutation, then finally you conclude that. So if you prepare all of your presentations in this 5 sequence, and based on this 5 sequence, I have built this tool called 1 2 3 2 1. Spend 1 minute on fast, 2 minutes on your narratives, 3 minutes on argument, 2 minutes on refutation, 1 minute on conclusion. If you have got 9 minutes, 9 minutes to present your case. If you have got 18 minutes, you simply double each one. So that accordingly you can distribute time to make that presentation. And if in that proportion your presentation is presented, then you will be definitely bringing an impactful feedback from your audience. Now I'll just tell you few things what the best presenters they do, what non-presenters they not so good presenters they cannot do. And this is the reference I have taken from again from the Harvard School of Public Health. So they have said these 4 points. Number one, they say presenters open a PPT, but the storyteller crafts a narrative. That is the difference. If I am a presenter, I go put my pen drive, open the PPT, and I ask audience, shall I start? So I am a simple presenter. But instead of presenters, let's be a storyteller. Let's start with something. I know some of you who have done fantastic job when you go to the podium and a stage, make that first statement. So that can come, you prepare that because the area where you are going to speak, you are full of information. What is that 2 lines you can make that before you put your presentation on, that itself will set the tone. Then presenter use text, but storytellers love pictures. As I said, 70-30 rule. Again, you use 70%. Do not ever make that mistake. Please, as a part of this training program, if you can pick up this learning, any slide you make, makes your 70% space is used by pictures or graphs, and text is less than 30%. Storytellers, they love put pictures and they explain that picture. However, not good presenters for the sake of making a PPT, because we most of the time do not understand the value of a PPT. We keep on putting so much. ऐसे रहता है कि भाई दुनिया में और कोई बुक नहीं है, अगर उसका भी बुक का टेक्स्ट होता मैं भी वो भी डाल देता था उसमें. ऐसे ही दिखता है कुछ कुछ स्लाइड डेक में, ऐसे लगता है कि ये पूरा की पूरा बुक मैं देख रहा हूँ सामने. Who loves to read a book? Then third thing, presenters dump data, storyteller humanize it. Lots of data, everybody brings data, this. I have seen people, this is statistical significant. What is statistical significant? Convert them, narrate them in terms of the actual practical impact in the field. So that is absolutely a big no. If we are making a statement, it is, I am finding it's statistical significant. This number, this 30%, 40%, 50% is statistical significant. What does that mean? That means nothing. So we'll be understanding that as a going further, that as a skill, how we can convert these numbers to the social values. That will definitely understand in our statistics part. But this is one thing, do not ever dump data. If data is there, convert that into social values. Then presenters are predictable, but storytellers surprise audience. They're predictable. All the presenters, they are predictable, who are just normally making a slide deck and making a presentation. But storytellers, you must have seen all the, good people, I have seen many people in IIMs basically. They are always surprise audience by, putting some anticlimax into that. So if that kind of component is there in your study, in your areas, just you keep one for your, as a part of refutation or as a part of your argument there, so that it can connect audience quite well. So these are the 5 major points for the way the Greek people they present. And I'm sure that if we can just take at least 30-40% skills from that, definitely our journey for becoming a good presenter will definitely be there. We'll start from today. So we'll see that, how we can just, there's a lot of things we have discussed today, what you can do for your own PhD topic, own PhD title, and own PhD arguments and narratives. So I'll stop here from this skill building perspective. So we'll go to the next class, maybe not today. We are almost in the time is almost getting over. So what we can do is that